Defense Secretary Jim Mattis is expected to sign an order sending over 800 or more troops to the southern border to support the Border Patrol. The Department of Defense says the troops are being deployed to beef up security at the U.S. border with Mexico as a caravan of several thousand migrants makes its way north through Mexico. General Mattis is responding to a request from President Donald Trump, who says he is bringing out the military to tackle what he's calling a national emergency on the southern border. There are already around 2,000 National Guard troops assisting at the border under a previous Pentagon arrangement. This news today on this report delivers on President Trump's repeated warnings that he would deploy the military to the border in some capacity if Mexican authorities did not do enough to halt the caravan's advance. While the president and his predecessors have requested state governors to deploy the National Guard to the border before, as President Trump did in April of this year when a smaller migrant caravan tried to cross into the U.S., he had warned last weekend that he would send in the military, not the Guard. And according to this report, departing crime and poverty-stricken Hondurans 2 weeks ago, the caravan swelled in number as it approached the U.S., when the UN estimating it to be over 7,000 strong. Since crossing into Mexico almost a week ago, the caravan has advanced north to the town of Mapastipic. Authorities state that many of the over 14,000 have dropped off and that the caravan now numbers around the 4,000 to 5,000 range. Mapastipic is still over 1,000 miles from the U.S. border, a journey of several weeks for the remaining members. Some of the drop-offs have taken another route to the United States, and it seems to this report others are staying in Mexico, and more have turned and gone home, some falling ill and some fearing attacks and harassments by criminals. President Trump has vowed to stop the caravan since it departed, declaring border security a national emergency, and tweeting today bringing out the military to deal with it. Brandon Judd of the National Border Patrol Council is right when he says that the Democratic-inspired laws make it tough for us to stop people at the border. This must be changed, but I am bringing out the military for this national emergency. They will be stopped. Whatever branch of the military the president and the troops are drawn from, they are unlikely to stand at the border with weapons drawn. A federal law dating back to the 1870s forbids the military from engaging in law enforcement on U.S. soil, unless authorized by Congress. The troops will therefore likely provide reconnaissance, logistics, and assistance to Customs and Border Patrol agents, and obviously equipment. The U.S. southern border with Mexico is just under 2,000 miles long, and if troops deployed there will likely be reinforcing key positions along that border.
Obviously, the problem is going to continue unabated until we develop solutions, and James just referred to congressional solutions necessary. Former ICE acting director and Fox News contributor Tom Homan is with us, and Louisiana Republican Congressman and House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. Tom, I want to start with you, given all your expertise in this matter. What is the one thing that could be done right now to help stem this tide?
Well, actually, there's two things. First of all, raise the asylum bar. As the attorney says, they get interviewed by an asylum officer. 88% of them pass the asylum interview because they are coached on what to say. But when they get to court, if they get to court, more than 80% lose their case. So we got to raise that asylum bar because the delta's too big. The second thing we do, look, if these families want due process, they got a right to claim asylum. There's only one way we can guarantee due process. Keep them in a family residential center until we see a judge. Back in 2014, when we first did this under Secretary Jay Johnson, we kept them there to see a judge. And guess what? 80% or more lost their case. We put them on an airplane, sent them south. The numbers went down because we showed the world we are national laws, and you'll get your due process. But when the decision's made and you lose, you're going to go home.
Congressman Scalise, we don't really have time to do anything before this midterm election. This is a national security issue, an economic issue, costs taxpayers billions of dollars to take all these people in, public schools, health care, all of what we know. It's a health issue, too, because we don't know what people have coming in here. We have diseases in this country we haven't had for decades. What will Congress do in the after the midterms to address this issue?
Well, Laura, I think in the next 2 weeks, you're really going to see this debate play out, because ultimately that election in 2 weeks will help decide it. I am really glad that President Trump is putting such a sharp focus on this. Look, I mean, when you look at these, it's like a parade going over. These aren't asylum seekers. I mean, you can see, and you've talked about this, you've highlighted the people that are coaching them along the way, so that at the beginning of this march, they're talking about coming over here looking for jobs, and then by the time they're getting closer, they're being coached about how to finally try to get in here legally, even though this is not what the legal process is supposed to be like. We need to change the law. We've had 2 different bills on the House floor. We've had actual votes to tighten these loopholes up, to actually close the loopholes.
So what's the problem?
That are allowing
Why is this not getting traction? This is a national emergency. I'd pull everyone back from midterm campaigning to deal with this, frankly.
Yeah.
It's that important when we have thousands of people coming into, maybe most of them are unarmed, all of them are unarmed for all we know. We don't know. This is an invasion into this country, and the American people are seeing this play out. They're like, this is like, there's like the phone's ringing and no one's home. No one's answering the phone here.
And that's what you're seeing President Trump saying, look, we're not going to allow this. First of all the Latin American countries, all of those billions of dollars of foreign aid needs to be on the table. They need to be made very clear.
They're already out of the Central American countries.
This is going to be a threat to your billions of dollars that you're getting.
They're gone. They're gone.
But President Trump's already made that clear.
Yeah.
This is going to be in jeopardy. And you saw Secretary of State Pompeo saying, we're not going to let you into our country. We have to treat this as an invasion, but also you have to look at this as we are a nation of laws. We've said just play by the rules. There are rules that you can play by, but they're trying to game the system. We've got to be real clear that these laws have to be changed. And there's going to be an election in 2 weeks. In just 2 weeks, there are people that are, look, Pelosi wants open borders. This is a real impact on Pelosi's whole idea of having open borders. President Trump has done a great job of making this an election issue because the country is going to ultimately decide.
They don't want.
Do we want an open national security, open borders? I'm for national security. They're for open borders.
Tom, the groups that are facilitating this, they are co-conspirators in the gaming of the system and the mass crush on the border. What can be done?
Well, what you described, look, they're absolutely aiding and abetting and helping people make an illegal entry. That is a violation of 8 United States Code 1324, which is alien smuggling. It's a felony. So HSI needs to work with their partners in Mexico, identify these people, and prosecute them.
Gentlemen, we could do a whole hour on this. Thank you so much for joining us. And Congressman Scalise, we want to have you back on this issue and so many others.